Well, I think we'll begin now. Good evening, everyone. Good to be back with you. Before I begin, Bunty asked if you'd be interested in a Zoom meeting tomorrow at 11. You may not be free, it's late notice, but if you could let me know. And you could, I suppose, put a message here just to say yes or no, or if you need to think about it, just send an email. And then I can contact Bunty this evening. Well, it doesn't look as if we're going to have many more. I've been thinking about the situation with, getting back to the idea of the space between, the way space has been created in between people within society, and there's a little thing you can do with the hands. You may know this, and I was thinking that it was rather a good representation of what's happened. Taking an individual as a kind of micro representation of society, and taking a couple of polarities, doing a mock-up in an individual's body of what's happened by separating two polarities in the body, and then watching what happens. And there's a little game with the hands. What you do is you clasp your hands, like if you could do this. You may know this. You clasp your hands as if in prayer. Okay. And you extend your two index fingers like that. And you press them close together. Keep them pressed quite firmly. Don't hurt yourself, but keep them pressed firmly. Now, what I want you to do is to count to 5 and then suddenly open them, and then open those fingers, don't stop clasping your hands. Just open those fingers so they're apart, and then just watch the fingers. Don't do anything, just watch the fingers. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open. Now just watch your fingers. See? So if you suddenly separate polarities, what happens that have been used to being close is exactly that. But the renewed contact is different, isn't it? It's more sensitive. And I thought it was a good representation, in one person of society and what the state we're in. So I'm presenting it really as an optimistic view of things, hoping that this will be a experience very much across society, that people will form different relationships, a different quality of relationship, that will be fruitful, more sharing, more sensitive, more appreciative of each other. Because there are big changes taking place. And if we go back to the 19th century, 1865, in Japan, there were big changes taking place there with the restoration of the monarchy. And also it was the year that Dr. Usui Mikao was born, he came from an old samurai family, and they were very privileged because they were they served the shogun, powerful people, so they lived privileged lives, and of course that gradually disappeared. Usui, as a child, was still, though, sent to martial arts school, and he was a martial artist. And it was the same school that Yoshiba went to, the founder of Aikido. And of course, one founded a new style that was Aikido's got a very strong spiritual kind of protocol and philosophy to it. You don't kill. You don't go in for the kill, in other words. So it has that spiritual quality. And of course, Usui founded Reiki. But before he did that, of course, he was very much involved with Tendai Buddhism. He was involved also with the esoteric sect of Tendai Buddhism. He was very, very devout. And he was also connected to the Yamabushi. They were a mountain group who they used to meditate and fast in the mountains, and that's what he would do sometimes. And in 1922, he was doing exactly that. And he had, as the story goes, he had this vision, this kind of, it was a road to Damascus type of experience. And as a result, he founded a kind of teaching that brought a lot of the esoteric traditions to the ordinary people, which would involve certain exercises and certain, ways of enhancing one's spiritual life. And he became a naval doctor. He didn't go in for healing. He didn't think of himself as a healer. But of course, the Yamabushi actually they had healing practices that, and he would have been connected to that. So these influences were in place. But the thing that strikes me about this person who was obviously so very spiritual isn't so much. It isn't the legend of visions on the mountain, but it's the fact that he was known to be good to be with. People felt good after they'd been with him. They came away feeling better, and yet feel physically better, and gradually a healing practice sort of developed from this. And he developed a system that was designed for self-healing. It really started with self-healing, or so the commentaries go. Obviously, there's a lot of different versions, and this was for the military. And so, it meant that they had to hand the first aid before, sometimes, of course, in warfare, you can't get help. And there are stories of people I heard one recently of someone who just the legs were more or less blown off. I mean, they certainly finished without the particular person, that this story was about. I think it was true in Afghanistan. And he was passing out, just with the sheer trauma and of the experience. And he remembered some breathing had been shown. It was just a simple count. And he was able to stop himself passing because of, doing this breath. And help his men and call for help. And he was saved, and the men were saved. He lost his legs, but he could have lost his life, but he remembered the breathing. That wasn't anything to do with Reiki, but it's just to do with the fact that if you have to hand very simple tools that just as knowledge without anything else, the breathing or some of these techniques, the Reiki techniques, for instance. If my first experience was probably when I was at the festival hall, and I had some musicians in the a room at the back, where the musicians gather, and they're heavy doors because they have to be soundproof, And I went to see them at the end just to speak to them. And I said, "Oh, hello." Yeah, there was somebody. I remember making an exclamation because there was somebody who came out who I didn't know, and my hand was in the hinge door. It's a big, heavy door, and bang, blood everywhere. And I immediately applied Reiki. No pain, no bruise, no swelling. We're talking about a severely trapped hand. I lost the nail. The nail did fall out, but there was no bruise, no swelling, no pain. So you see, in a trauma, first aid of that nature can be very, very useful, and it was certainly to me. So anyway, he formulated this system of self-healing and eventually healing other people. And it had, and still does have, 5 strands to it. One is Gokai, which is the precepts. Just for today, I will be thankful, etc. And the other, of course, is the blessing, which we've heard. He didn't do that blessing. That's nothing to do with Usui. It's just that in the context of doing this over the internet, of course, it's really good that we have a monk that can just do a blessing. I mean, I can tell you more about what became an attunement later. It was developed more in the West, I think, and supposed to be based around a rite in the esoteric Tendai school called Goshimbo, which means Dharma protection for the body. And it was just a kind of vigorous choreographed movement around the initiate. But really, it's very little connected with that. And involves more symbols and mantras, symbols that you draw with the hands. And so, I know all these, and I do use them because I've been shown them. But anyway, that is one of the ways that blessings are done. But we're very lucky to have had the Bhujanga Sutta, and then of course there's the Hatsureiho, which are the energy exercises. Then there's Tenahira, which is the palm healing. Palm healing is not. It isn't just Reiki that uses that. I think there was a time when they had the nurses doing it in America as a kind of experiment, because the hands are they're great comforters. Hands. What do you do when you comfort? Your hands go to the shoulder or around their shoulders. This is what happens. Or you hold somebody. What do we do when somebody's dead? You hold their hand. So it is the nature of hands to give off this kind of healing, comforting effect. And then, of course, there are the mantras and symbols that are mentioned that are used in the blessing. But mantras and symbols also are used in healing. But the symbols they're constructs. They mean what we want them to mean. I mean, what I mean is that the actual value of them is what we give to them. I have a friend who he said to he taught the piano, and he was teaching a student some Beethoven, and this student said to him, he said he was a challenging student, how do you know Beethoven wanted it to be played like this? And he said, he's the kind of friend that always makes one smile. He said, because my teacher told me. And my teacher's teacher told him. And her teacher's teacher told her. And his teacher's teacher was told by Beethoven. You see, it was that sort of thing. Very impressive. Well, we all know we can do this. We can always connect. I mean, I too connect to Beethoven in that way. We can all connect to people, can't we? But it's taking, if you take the trouble to find out the chains, the links in the chain, it becomes meaningful then. And if it's important to you, it becomes meaningful. And then if you tell people that, it becomes even more meaningful, you know, even though people know, I mean, you know, we can all connect to each other. We are all so very, very connected in spite of the space between. You could make double the space between, we would remain connected. You won't stop it, you see. So we're connected in many different ways. So anyway, that gives you a bit of info about Reiki. I wasn't really looking forward to doing that. I find history a bit tedious, but I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it's how you tell it, isn't it? It's like jokes, it's like humor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do just a bit of breathing. You don't have to stand up. The breathing exercises, they are exercises. They're not really meditations, but you can use them. I'm talking about the pranayama things we did. And I do feel very strongly about this idea of allowing the breath to shape the body and to shape the posture. Okay. I had some lovely suggestions from, I'm terribly sorry, it's Dan somebody, I think. I can't remember, but it was a suggestion about breathing. And one was, you know, just to breathe, just take an ordinary breath and look for the calm between the breaths. It's lovely. I mean, I'd certainly do that. I'll probably do that. It's a nice technique. It's a good technique. And if you have any ideas, techniques that you want to share, because now is the time to share. It's, you know, the time for ideas to be shared. We tend to take ownership of things, don't we? You know, that's my idea, that in a way we do that more with ideas than we do objects. And I'm not thinking of the idea of a kind of cooperative sharing, but just a non-ownership sharing where there's an awareness that we don't own anything. I mean, there's nothing I've shown you. I mean, there are things, some of those things are things that I've evolved with me, but they don't belong to me, really. I could write a symphony. It wouldn't it would not belong to me. You'd find so much there belonging to other people. And the same with those other people, you know. So it's a way of looking at the interconnectedness of things. It's a way of looking at polarities, at spaces, and feeling the energy of them. There is another point, though, I want to make about the breathing, and that the pranayama breaths, and it is that they are meant also as a tool. You can do them as exercises every day, or, you know, you can count or whatever, or just use that breath and do it for longer periods of time, you know, gradually build up, you know. So the idea isn't that you breathe all day like that at all. It is an exercise, but days are stressful. So, I mean, before I come on here, I do some breathing exercises because, there's always a bit of a buzz, isn't there? The energy, you need energy to do things like this, and you don't want to, fall on your face. So, there are breathing exercises, and well, one for instance, the simplest is 4-4-4-4. So rhythm is very good. It's very good. As long as it doesn't become stressful, where you're holding your breath until you're, passing out. Um, so 4-4-4-4 would be breathing into 4, 3, 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and the last bit for 4. If you like the clenching, and then again 1, 3, 4, hold, out, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It's calming, and you're taking control. So if your heart's beating fast, breathing, it's good, but you have to do a fair amount of it. Keep at it, keep in control, and the breath will control it. One that's good for increasing the vagus tone, and of course the vagus runs right from the top here, right down into the gut. Very powerful nerve, and one that's used. There's various ones you find and that are given if you research it. Is the 5-2-8, the 5-2-8. Okay, so we'll try this, and don't worry too much about all the details of what I showed you yesterday. Remember the stomach. Remember to allow the breath. Feel a slight, shaping of the lumbar region, and let it go a bit further. I mean, that's fine. We want to avoid this kind of thing. I even do it when I'm trying to explain it. I will find myself doing that because we're taking it apart, aren't we? And it becomes more complicated when you take things apart. But it isn't really. It's just if you remember the expansion of the stomach and let the breath take over, that will be good. So we're going to do 5, 2, 8. Okay. So after 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 5. Hold. 2. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's good. 7, 8. In. 2, 3. Hold. 2. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In. 2, 3. Hold. 2. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you do that, it will calm you and keep you in the more in the chill out system. Keep you chilled, keep you cool. But there's another. I would like to mention this. I resisted this. There's another way of using breath, another technique, and I'm sure you've all seen it and heard about it, and you might do it. I hope you do. But of course, it's the alternate nostril breathing. Now you're supposed to put 2 fingers here, and you block the right nostril, yeah, and then you breathe 5 times, right, in and out. 3, 4, 5. Now, and then you put your ring finger there. Okay, that's the other nostril now. 1, 3, 4, 5. Now, it's tremendous. You get a great feeling of balance. I don't know what it is about it, but you start the day with that. If you do about 9 in each nostril, that's fine. I do 3 different ones, where you breathe in one nostril and out through the other. Now, if you find one side is blocked, what you do is give just a bit of pressure. Say if it's that side, my left side, then a bit of pressure under the right, so the lymph nodes. So you've got a bit of pressure there. If you just, not too much for too long, but what it does for some reason is loosen up on the other side. So if that's blocked, you put your arm under there, and if you can lie with a bit of pressure on it, yeah, not for prolonged periods. You don't want to cut off your blood supply, but that it's good, and it balances the body in a very good way. I have a funny story about this because I do this breathing on a train, and it's discreet. You don't. But when it comes to alternate nostril breathing, so what I do, I'd sort of lean on one, and then lean on the other. But it became evident. That some people, they'd look at me and say, "You're right, mate." Obviously, they thought that I was making a kind of comment about their body odor or something. I don't know, but I decided to stop it. But I thought, well, it's a pity I can't do that. And I found myself imagining that I was breathing through one nostril. I want you to try this, actually. I want to see if you find the same thing. That's very interesting, right? I block my nostrils now. I don't know about you. But anyway, if you breathe, let's say through the left nostril, if you imagine that you're breathing just through here, all right, let's just try it. Now imagine you're breathing through the other nostril. Right. Now, I don't know what you're experiencing, and it's not like the holding the breath thing when we were doing the finger game, where I was pretty sure most people would be holding their breath. This is different. I was trying not to offend people and get myself into trouble, and so I then found myself trying that. Now, it's like, to me, it feels like I'm breathing through only one nostril. It's all the attention is there, so all the sensations that you focused on are here, feeling there, whether you feel that. But what I found quite fascinating, this has happened a number of times, where you stumble on something, and then you find that it's actually done, and it's done certainly in the version I heard of Yoga Nidra. Now, Nidra yoga is the sleep yoga or dream yoga, and there's a very, very excellent guided Yoga Nidra record done by Sacred Acoustics. It's really good. It's very well crafted. Particularly that you get a long version and a short version. The short version I really like. It's quite beautiful, and it takes you a guide. You lie down. It's great. No effort. You just and you go down to the throat, then out to the joint there, then the joint there, then the wrist joint, and then you go back again. Then you the other side, and then gradually you go back you know, down to the lower part of the body and do the same with the legs, and then come back and you finish up there in the end. And it's actually, I think it's in the long version where they do this alternate nostril breathing with the imagination, and except I think you breathe in and out quite a lot through one nostril, or you keep alternating. I can't remember now because I tend to listen to the short version. So it already exists. Well worth the thing to try, because you can really space out, and you've got this what do you call it, binaural rhythms. Um, you know, I'm not quite sure about binaural rhythms, but it's the sort of thing I'd love to discuss with you, because I know you'd have opinions about it. So that's the breath, and don't forget, with the breathing for Reiki, you breathe in through the nose. That's all you need to remember. You don't have to, you know, do great full breaths, you know, as in the exercises we've been doing. In through the nose with the tongue on the roof, and then out. Okay. Now we're going to do exercises now. I want to show you something now that, if anything else, take this with you as far as the Reiki exercises go. It's very good. It's a beautiful exercise. What we've done so far, just to remind you, is we've done the Reiki shower, which you can do the short version where you just scoop up the energy. Imagine you're scooping up energy on the in breath and then down, okay, on the out breath. And the more, and you just a few times like that, you know, when you need to, or even if you just imagine you're doing it, you'll find you can get through it. It doesn't affect, I don't think it affects you immediately, but after a few minutes, you suddenly, yeah, I seem to be carrying on now with a. I mean, it won't suddenly make you into Superwoman or Superman, but it will get you through. Well worth doing. And then the other one is the inner cleansing. The inner cleansing, I really like. So you pull it down. I liked some of the imagery that Bunty uses and the way you talk to the body. It's wonderful stuff. And I like the way he spoke of a kind of shaft of light coming down. It's great. So that might help actually in this, where you pull the energy down into the stomach, and it goes out. Before you start breathing out, you think of it just beginning to go, and then you breathe out, and you feel it going out through the skin and forming a balloon. Now, teachers, well-known teachers, you know, commentators who've written lots of books about this will use that straight away. Others say, there are some who say, well, yeah, that's fine, but before you do that, for 6 months, you should do this one. And I'll tell you what it is. You breathe it, it's the same. You pull the energy down into the hara, the gut. Again, it starts to spread, but then you just the fingertips, fingers and toes, you can feel it coming out. Now it does make them tingle quite a lot, that exercise. Actually, you breathe in, feel it going out, and breathe out. And now the polarity now are the extremities. So think of the toes and the fingers. It always works. It always works. It's wonderful. So those are the two exercises. In the pack, there's an exercise called dry bathing, and you imitate bathing. So you know, you breathe in, breathe out. Sorry, you go across the body first, right? That side, then that side. You read it. It's supposed to be used before other exercises. I prefer the Reiki shower. It's simpler. I do the dry bathing, but it's partly because I was shown it. You know, the Reiki shower is it's over the whole body, and it's simple to remember. Read the dry bathing on it, the dry bathing exercise, and see if you might take to it. But the 3 diamonds is the one that I would really like you to take away with you. The 3 diamonds. I always associate it with the triple gem in Buddhism. The triple gem, of course, being the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. But it's likened to a diamond in that it's something that is very, very clear, beautiful, polished. We think of the diamond as being something polished, but it also cuts through anything. You know, it'll cut through anything. And that, of course, it refers to the idea of cutting through, I don't know, dualistic thinking, or, you know, concepts, getting to the heart of a problem, to the essence of things. And you do it you can do this sitting down. There's no reason why you shouldn't do this sitting down, or standing with the feet shoulder width apart. But first of all, right, you know what you're going to do. So you take up the position. All right, this is our position. We're sitting. And then don't forget the eyes forwards, half closed. Yeah. So it turns us, makes us just a bit sleepy and receptive. And then bring your attention to the hara. And then raise hands in gasha. And then we lower the hands and we start the first part. This is in 3 parts, this. Imagine, as you breathe in, that you're pulling up energy from deep in the earth, right up into the gut. Okay. Right, so you breathe in through the nose, tongue on the roof of the mouth, into the gut. Now hold that idea, the image between that polarity deep in the earth and your stomach as you breathe out. Then again, you simply keep that as a fixed image, and out 3 times, and out 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now the second part, you breathe in again 9 times, and what you do is you imagine a sphere floating down. If you can't, actually that sometimes helps you to get a sensory kind of foothold. If you can't, just think of that polarity and then this polarity. Okay, so you breathe from here. Really, the first fixed attention is really on the hara, because that's where it's going. Okay, but if you can develop that image, then you would use it. Make it easy. Never try to visualize in a ferociously concentrated way. Just pull that sphere of energy down as you breathe in, or just think of your hara. Just think of your belly, and now think of your crown. It's floating back to your crown. This is sky energy. We're pulling it up from the sky. In fact, you can think of the sky and then back again. It floats back. Pull it down from the sky or the crown to the hara and out again. I think that's 3 right now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then what we do, the last one, is the heart energy. The heart energy. And you make as if holding a tree. Okay, now just take a breath before we start the cycle of breath. Just breathe in and breathe out, and just bring your hands down towards the ground. Okay, now breathe in from the earth. Imagine it coming up from the earth, down from the sky, and then bring your hands round. I don't know whether you can see. This is not. This is one that is a bit. So they're out, and the palms are facing out. And you give from the heart, okay, and bring back to where you started. And the last bit of air out, then second time up from the earth, from the sky, bring them round and give out from the heart, and then down again. I'm going to call that 3. Now we say 4 down, and then breathe in. Right, I've decided that is 6. Okay, now 7. And down, now 8. Down, and 9. Okay. Now, you could substitute the heart one. You could substitute the heart one for an exercise that's given to us by the Heart Math Institute. They study the heart. They have been since when 1991. Yeah, 1991. That's when a lot of research was done into the heart. The heart forms before the brain, and it calls the shots. This is the thing. It doesn't seem to, does it? But the heart has a lot of intelligence. It just doesn't use words to express the intelligence. And we don't listen to it when we should either. So the heart, the first thing is you breathe. You breathe, just imagine breathing into your chest and out. That is the actual portal, for the breath to enter in and out. And then if you can produce an elevated emotion, what is that? It's something that makes you feel good. I'm not thinking of the kind of elevated emotion that comes from a mystical experience, really. But I don't know. I think of my parents. I had beautiful parents, and they've long gone. And when I think of I was so blessed. They're beautiful people. If I think of them, our family dog. I go around there. She doesn't see me now, but when she does, she doesn't look pleased. She explodes with joy. Now that gives me You may not like dogs. I'm sorry if you don't, but it gives me. It's indescribable. I feel wonderful. And sometimes she'll just sit under my legs. I sit on the wall outside. She doesn't know about distancing. And she sits there, and I look into her eyes. And the message is, this is where I want to be. It's very beautiful. And you can collect gems like that. You remember the one last night? The tears of my laughter flow like a stream into a dry desert. And here's another one. Sitting in a train and listening to, there's parents behind me with a baby. The baby wasn't making a sound. But the thing is, they were both singing to the baby. And what made it beautiful for me was the fact that the guy didn't know the words. I don't know why that made it beautiful, but he didn't know the words. He was constantly missing words and trying to catch up in the song. And the second thing was that the baby did not need pacifying. Not at all. She was perfectly happy without being sung to. You could see that. They sang to that baby because out of sheer love. And that's a gem. And you can collect these. And they don't all have to be sort of, I don't know, some people might find those things sort of soppy. Well, okay, that's that's all right as well. But the point is that you can build up a treasure trove of these things. This is where memory, instead of becoming the machine of anger and regret and shame and remorse, it becomes, you use it to build your kind of Aladdin's cave with these memories. I'd love it if you could share some, you know, anything you find that elevates. So you place this memory here, and as you breathe out, you give it to the world. You see, so it's the quality, the frequencies, the resonance of your heart breathing. Right. I'd like you all to put your hands now in Gasha, and with me, if you can just think it if you like. Okay, I can't hear you, so just for today, okay? And we do it 3 times. You find it on your sheets. Just listen to me anyway, if you can't quite remember. It's very simple. Right. Just for today, I will be thankful. Just for today, I'll be free from anger and fear. Just for today, I'll be honest and kind. Just for today, I will be thankful. Just for today, I'll be free from anger and fear. Just for today, I'll be honest and kind. Just for today, I'll be thankful. Just for today, I'll be free from anger and fear. Just for today, I'll be honest and kind. Now we wait. Let's just rub our hands. Think of the left hand. Think of the right hand. Left hand, right hand. Left palm, right palm. Left palm, right palm. Now, if you haven't got your shoes off, I haven't. I've got my slippers on. I'm kicking them off here. Doesn't matter if you can't. Energy likes these little kind of hollows in the body. It likes to nestle in them. Left part, left. What do you call that? The arch. Yes, it's the left arch. All right. Think of the left arch of your foot. Now the right. Now the left arch. Now the right. The left arch. Now the right. Now go to your right palm, left palm, left arch, right arch, right palm, left palm, left arch, right arch of the foot. Now we're going to go around in a circle, right? Here, then to here, then left foot, right foot. Get the circle going. It's a circle of energy. Feel it going round. Just feel it going right now. We've got a circle going. Can you feel that going? I think some of you can, actually. Okay, now just slow it down. Now the left arch. Now the right palm. The left palm, the right arch with a figure of 8. Left foot, right palm, left palm, right arch, left arch, and up. Now get the figure of 8 going, okay? Now it can move as fast as thought, and there's no other thing that moves as fast as thought. I think it's the fastest thing on the planet, isn't it? I don't know. And like a train stopping. Okay. Lie down. If you can find a place to lie down, please. And if you lie down and just think, try to invite the energy. Try to feel, get that sense of allowing. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be happy and safe. May all beings be happy and safe. And then if you lift your hands just to your brow, between the eyes, and just silently ask the energy to flow freely for your highest and greatest good, and for the highest and greatest good of all those whose lives you touch. May the energy of Reiki flow freely for my highest and greatest good, and for the highest and greatest good of all those whose lives I touch. And then a third time. May the energy of Reiki flow freely for my highest and greatest good, and the highest and greatest good of all those whose lives I touch. All right? Now we breathe in. Place the hands over the eyes gently, just touching gently. And I want you to just do a couple of breaths of inner cleansing, just to kind of clear away any distractions. Breathe in, send the energy out. In fact, you can send it to your fingers and your toes. Care. Know that you're a very special, important person, creative, an amazing machine with infinite possibilities. Feel a sense of tenderness. You are the child. You are the child. No less. Now relax your hands and imagine them floating away. Don't move consciously. Just think of your hands. Imagine them floating off your skin. As soon as you relax like that, you see, they will do it. Now move them to the side of your head. You can put them over your ears if you prefer. Take a good breath. Send the energy out. Allow it. Let me breathe. Allow it to go to your fingers and your feet. You feel it in your hands tingling. Imagine your hands floating. Just relax them. Only think of them floating off your skin and feel the space between. Sense the space between. It's alive. Now gently move your hands to the back of your head, one higher than the other, as if you're resting your head, in bed on the pillow with your hands behind you, but not on top of each other. Fingers close. Now imagine your fingers floating away. Well, of course, if you're lying down, you can't do that, obviously. I'm sitting up, you see, so just gently let them slide down towards the front of the neck until the heels of your hands meet. So it's like a cup rest, kind of a golfer's seat, with a spike. So this covers around the throat. Imagine your hands gently relaxing from there and leaving that area. Now you put them on your chest with fingers close together and fingers pointing in towards each other, and it would be the middle fingers would be touching. Okay, now just to get rid of any distractions that might have got in the way, let's do an inner cleansing. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, to let the polarity be your fingertips and your toes. Breathe in, fingertips and the toes. Breathe in, fingertips and the toes. Love your heart. We're talking about an electromagnetic field that is not just a bit more than the brain's. We're talking a few thousand, It has a very big electromagnetic field. Now down to the lower part, where the bottom of the sternum, that little knob there where the thymus would be. When a child is distressed, when a child is distressed and the parent, they put their hand on the child and just cuddle them and say, it's going to be all right, it's going to be all right. That is the relationship now between you and your body, you and yourself, if you like, how it's, you don't have to overthink it. Just treat yourself as you would treat a child. It's going to be okay. Now gently slide the hands down towards the inguinal fold. So it's covering the lower part of the abdomen and pointing down towards the base energy center, towards the genitals. I want you to put one hand over your stomach, over the hara, any hand, another hand on your forehead. There's no past. There is no future. There is now. There is no anger. There is no fear. There is gratitude. Now bring your hand down from your forehead and put it over the other one. Now cross your hands like a St. Andrew's cross, with one hand pointing to the opposite shoulder diagonally. Pure gratitude for the love, for the healing energy of compassion. And wiggle your toes and roll your shoulders a bit and take your hands away. And hands in gasho. I give thanks for the healing energy of Reiki. I give thanks for the healing energy of Reiki. I give thanks for the healing energy of Reiki. All right. Sorry, we overrun a bit, but we had a bit of a slow kind of start. No, it doesn't bother me, by the way. I'm not worried. But before you go, I should give you time to blink a bit, shouldn't I? I've been sitting, you see, but I suppose most of you have been like, you can do this sitting, of course. We would have spent a bit of time on any parts of the body that you were concerned about. It's just that we're a bit late. Could you make it known if you'd like to manage an 11 o'clock Zoom tomorrow, if you can? I don't know whether if you could type in yes or no or something here, then I'll know now, rather than send me an email. Okay. Okay. Oh, they're coming. Yeah. Okay. Jackie, Krish, okay now. Oh, Krish, you've put sound had gone. Oh, Oh, so you haven't managed to get onto the Zoom crush? You might. Yeah. That's 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Well, look, I tell you what, why don't we just have one anyway? And for those who can't come, do send me an email, and of any things that any questions you have. Okay, if you can't make the 11 o'clock one, I don't know why I can feel your energy. But it's quite extraordinary. I could feel it during the day today. It's a new one. It's a new thing. It looks as if I've got about 100 in the class, but I think it's people just sending messages. I'm going to go now, and you've been a lovely, lovely class. And sleep well, meta, breathe well, and love yourself. Okay.